Hi friends, welcome to today's session of Family Story Times on Race and Diversity. I'm Sira Williams from the Red Bank Public Library, and I'm sure you guessed by now, I'm at the beach today because I came down to catch a sunrise. I love to do that, and I wanted to share it with you because we're going to be talking about the Earth today and all of its beautiful resources. We're celebrating Earth Day this month on April 22nd, and so that's what we're going to be talking about today. One of the things I really want you to learn from this program is that through reading books, we gain awareness. That means we learn new things about different people and places and experiences and things that we might never get to experience or know in our own lives, but we learn so much. And so in this program, I've read to you many stories about racial justice and social justice, but today we're going to be talking about environmental justice. That's a real thing, and I'm going to be reading this book to you. It's called We Are the Water Protectors. It's by Carole Lindstrom and illustrated by Kayla Williams. It's a beautiful book. But before I do that, I have to tell you a couple things. First, I have a surprise in that my daughter Kayla Williams is going to join me to talk about environmental justice because that's the field that she works in. And I really want you to meet her. I'm excited about that. All right, so catching the sunrise was a great idea. It's always inspiring. I recommend it, but it was starting to get too windy and cold out there, and so I came back inside. I hope that's okay with you. It's going to be a lot easier for us to read our book today. But before I read, I want to talk about Earth Day real quick. I know that you learn a lot about our planet and what we need to do to protect it and care for it, and that you talk about that at school and hopefully in your home, and you're doing things already that can help to care for our planet and make it a better, healthier environment for all of us, because it's our home, not just us as people, but also all living creatures like plants and animals too, right? And we all need food and air to breathe and water in order to live and survive and thrive. And so those are the resources that we really need to protect. And this book is called The Water Protectors. And this is going to be a window book for us because remember when we talk about window books and mirror books, a window book allows us to peek in to someone else's world. And this book is about an Indigenous girl, and we're going to learn about her experience and her community and her culture through this story. And this is based on a true story. And so we're going to learn a lot. And as always, when we're reading, I think we're going to find connections with this girl and things that we can relate to. So that's really important. Before I do that, I quickly want to give you some background and some information about fossil fuels. That might not be in the conversation that you have at school, but it's important for us to know. It is definitely relevant to the health of the earth. It's definitely relevant to Earth Day, and it's relevant to our story. So quick rundown is that fossil fuels are coal, oil, and natural gas. And these are resources that we use to burn to make energy and power and heat. And people use these resources all over the world, but the way that we get them is by mining for them. They are deep in the center of the earth. They're actually the remains of dead plants and animals. And they've been there for millions and millions of years. But for us to get them, we have to mine for them. We have to dig for them. We have to suck them out of the ground with pipes and big machines. And when we do that, there's some negative consequences to our planet. mining for them can damage the land and harm our waterways and contaminate them. What else? When we burn them, they're not clean energy. They pollute the air that we breathe. And the other thing about them is that they're not, there's not an never-ending supply of them. They're going to run out. And so we need to find alternative sources of energy. And we don't need to find them because we already found them. And you even know what they are. How about solar power? Have you seen some homes in town with solar panels on them? That's a great resource for energy. We can also get energy from the wind. Haven't you seen big wind turbines and windmills that are gathering energy from the wind? And you know where else? We can get energy from the water. The water. And so that's important for us to know. And so this story, like I told you, it's based on a true story about a community that is fighting against having an oil pipeline run through their land. So let's read this. It's called Water Protectors. It's written by Carole Lindstrom. It's illustrated by Michaela Goad. I would love for you to really focus on these illustrations. They're beautiful, beautiful. And also concentrate on the words, because you're going to hear a repeated phrases, and we'll talk about that after. We are water protectors. Let me move my camera a little bit so you can see. Water is the first medicine, Newcombus told me. We come from water. It nourished us inside our mother's body, as it nourishes us here on Mother Earth. Water is sacred, she said. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. The river's rhythm runs through my veins, runs through my people's veins. My people talk of a black snake that will destroy the land. Spoil the water, poison plants and animals, wreck everything in its path. When my people first spoke of the black snake, they foretold that it wouldn't come for many, many years. Now the black snake is here. Its venom burns the land, courses through the water, making it unfit to drink. Take courage. I must keep the black snake away from my village's water. I must rally my people together. To stand for the water, to stand for the land, to stand as one against the black snake. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. It will not be easy. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. The winged ones, the crawling ones, the four-legged, the two-legged, the plants, trees, rivers, lakes, the earth. We're all related. Tears like waterfalls stream down, tracks down my face, tracks down my people's faces. Water has its own spirit, Newcomus told me. Water is alive. Water remembers our ancestors who came before us, she said. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. We are stewards of the earth. Our spirits have not been broken. We are water protectors. We stand. The black snake is in for the fight of its life. And that's the end of the story. But as we've seen in many of our books, the author has given us a lot more information about the real life situation that this book is based on. That's the protests at Standing Rock from the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. And those protests inspired her to write this story. And I'm going to read just one sentence from this. Of course, you can check out this book from the library. You can buy this book and add it to your collection because it is a great one. She says, in April 2016, so that was about 6 years ago, the Standing Rock Sioux tribe stood up against the titans of industry to protect their region's water and sacred burial grounds from one of these pipelines, the Dakota Access Pipeline. And so they protested. They protested for years, really, against this pipeline. And that's what we see in the end of the book. The people gathering here, and it wasn't just Native Americans who were protesting. A lot of people came to support them in that fight because it wasn't fair that they were building this in their sacred land. So the author wants this story to inspire us, you and me, to become water protectors too, and to really commit to helping the earth, caring for the earth, and standing up for what's right. And so she's given us a pledge that we can say. I'm going to say it now, and you can say it with me. I'll read it in such a way that you can repeat after me if you'd like. And when we say a pledge, we put our hand over our heart to indicate that we are sincere in what we're saying, that we mean what we say. Okay? It's like making a promise. And so this is a promise to be an earth steward and a water protector. Here we go. I will do my best to honor Mother Earth and all of its living beings, including the water and the land. I will always remember to treat the earth as I would like to be treated. I will treat the winged ones, the crawling ones, the four-legged ones, the two-legged, the plants, trees, rivers, lakes, the earth, with kindness and respect. I pledge to make this world a better place by being a steward of the earth and a protector of the water. Very good. All right, now it's up to us to take a stand. Hey, let's talk to Kayla right now about issues like this of environmental justice. Can't wait for you to meet her. Hi, Kayla.
Hi, Mom.
Thank you very much for joining my program today.
Thanks for inviting me.
I know, I'm excited because it it's a great topic for you to talk to us about. So can you just quickly tell us a little bit about your job and what your organization does?
Yes. So my job is called Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Lead, and I work for an environmental nonprofit called Clean Production Action, or CPA. And CPA creates tools that make it easier for big companies that sell a bunch of different kinds of things to replace the unhealthy chemicals in their products, the products that they sell, with safer chemicals and healthy materials.
Yeah, you guys do such good work, and I'm really proud of you. So you got to hear the story, We Are the Water Protectors, right?
Yeah.
So, it's based on a true story.
Mm.
And sometimes I think that we think of pollution just as garbage or trash that we might see out on the ground or in the water. But in this case, they're talking about the pipeline and the damage that it can do to their community. So, do you know what kind of damage the pipeline could do to the indigenous community in the story?
Yeah. So, on a very literal level, if the pipeline breaks or leaks and the oil comes out, it's going to pollute the land that it spills onto, other bodies of water around it, and it can pollute the groundwater as well as it leaks, sinks into the earth. And in other ways, the pipeline is also disrupting the sacred landscape of the indigenous community, which is very, very important to their culture and their spirituality.
hmm And for all of us, really, if the land or the water or the air is polluted or contaminated, that can affect our health, right? And our well-being. So does where you live um, impact or make a difference when it comes to environmental issues like this?
Yes, where you live has a huge impact on your health and well being. Environmental justice is something that can happen anywhere, in any place. Um, but chemical pollution, water, air pollution, those things hurt people more when people in the community don't have access to things like good health care, or healthy foods and stores nearby that sell healthy foods and healthy products. And it also hurts when communities don't have good local governmental support. So, in other words, if you live in a place with lots of money for new roads and playgrounds and parks and new schools, and all your neighbors live in a really big house with a nice yard and fancy cars in their driveway, you are a lot less likely to be burdened with large scale pollution like we read about in the story.
So the flip side of that is that if you live in a poorer community, a community without as many resources, you're going to be affected more. And most often, those communities are communities of color, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so is there something that we can do, even that kids can do, to fight for environmental justice?
Yeah, there's lots of things everybody can do, no matter how old you are. The first and probably the most important thing is learning as much as you can about the links between injustice and the presence of environmental hazards in vulnerable communities like Standing Rock and the pipeline. You should also do what you can to learn about your own community what's going on there. Are there groups like the water protectors in your hometown working to protect a piece of your community? Everybody can use their voice to speak up and stand up together with those who advocate for environmental justice. And you should always hold your community representatives accountable for voting to protect the environment.
That is a lot, and we all can get involved. We all can use our voices, and like you said, stand up for what's right. So thank you very much. Is there anything else you wanted to share with my young friends?
Just that it's important to love the earth and have your own relationship with the earth and the environment around you, the land and the water around you. Like the water protectors in the story, you can see that we all live here and we all need what the earth gives us, what it has for us. And it's important to protect it because it's the only one we'll ever have.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you. And I love you too, Gal. So thanks for helping me today. All right. Thanks, Kayla.
Bye.
Bye. So we were just talking with Kayla about standing up and speaking out when we see things in our communities that aren't right. And I want to tell you about a new word that I just learned. And guess where I learned it? From Sesame Street. The word is upstander. And it just means that we can stand up and use our voices and our actions to speak out and help ourselves and others when someone is being treated unfairly, or a group of people in this case. And I wanted to point out to you, remember I said that there would be some phrases that were repeated in this story. Do you remember what they were? The words are, we stand. We stand. Here it is. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. See, they're using their voices and their actions to protest the conditions. Here it says, we need to stand for the water, stand for the land, stand as one against the black snake. So that theme of standing up is repeated and repeated. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. You know what? That's also repeated. We are still here because that tells me that they've been standing up for a long time. And that's how it is sometimes. You have to remember that a lot of these fights for justice take a long, long time to see results. And you know what helps is when we stand together. When we come together and other communities help each other, and really, when we use our voices, we can make a difference. So I want to encourage you to do that. I hope that you will have your own conversations at home about this story, about environmental issues in your own community, because there are issues that have to do with environmental justice, probably closer to home than you think. And what I'm going to do is put a link in the comments of this program for this cool We Are Water Protectors activities kit. It was created by the publishers of our book, and there's lots of information and suggested activities for you and your family, things that you can do in your community, and probably some new things for you to learn. And so I hope that you will take a look at that. And I'm going to see you next month for another family story time on race and diversity. As always, I'm going to leave you with some peace and love. Take some and please pass it on.